Guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to give you a full breakdown on Elementor Hosting and whether or not it's a viable option to host your WordPress website. So the video is going to be divided into two parts. In the very first part, I'm going to give you my general review on Elementor Hosting, whether it's a good option or a bad option, and how good is it in comparison to other web hosting companies out there. And then in part two, I'm going to give you the technical breakdown, how you can do all sorts of things within the Elementor backend, like how you can create a staging environment for your website, how you can clone your website, how you can create backups, add SSL, things like that. So if you've ever want to learn about Elementor Hosting, what exactly is it, and how you can actually host your website with Elementor Hosting, this video is going to be perfect for you. Now, before we get into the video, if you enjoy content around WordPress and website development, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified whenever I upload a new tutorial. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. All right, so the very first part here, let's talk about Elementor Hosting in general in comparison to other web hosting companies out there. Is Elementor Hosting a good option for you? I will say that for the most part, Elementor Hosting is actually a very good choice. I have an account with them. I've been hosting with them now for over a year, and there is one thing I will say about Elementor Hosting. It is a very good choice if and only if you intend on building your website with Elementor. That is not to say that you cannot build your website with another page builder plugin or a theme and then not host with Elementor. You can still host with Elementor even if you don't build your site with Elementor. However, that kind of defeats the entire purpose, because when you host with Elementor, when you pay for their hosting package, you're actually going to get the pro version of Elementor for free. It comes with the entire package. For example, right here you can see it says get an all-in-one solution. You're going to get your WordPress hosting, you're going to get the Pro Builder Elementor, you're going to get the theme, and you're also going to get support. So it really doesn't make any sense for you to pay for hosting with Elementor and then not use Elementor to build your website. The second reason is also involves the support. When you have any issues on your site, when you're hosting with Elementor and you've built your site with Elementor, it's going to become so much easier for Elementor support team to provide you with the assistance that you need. So all in all, I will say that if you're convinced by Elementor, you love using Elementor, you want to build your website with Elementor, then Elementor Hosting will be perfect choice for you. However, if you're still on the fence, you're not quite sure whether or not you want to use Elementor or whether you're going to stick with Elementor, then it's much better for you to use another web hosting company out there like SiteGround or Cloudways. Let's now talk about the pricing. How expensive or cheap is Elementor Hosting? And in comparison to other web hosting companies out there, it's actually quite cheap, because keep in mind that when you buy Elementor Hosting, you're also getting the Elementor Pro Builder for free. Now, they do have 4 major plans: Basic, Business, Grow, and Scale. The main difference between Basic, Business, and then Grow and Scale is that with the Basic plan, you will not be able to do things like create a staging environment for your website, and then you will not be able to clone your site either. Being able to clone your site and then also stage your site, you get those with Grow and Scale. But a more important thing to take note of is that with the Basic and Business packages, you can only host one WordPress website. So if you have multiple WordPress websites built with Elementor, then you may want to go with the Grow or Scale options. But let's take a look at the actual pricing itself. Now, the Basic package starts at about $10 per month. Now, when you compare this with other web hosting companies out there like SiteGround, you can get hosting for as cheap as $3 a month. However, please keep in mind that with Elementor, you're getting something known as cloud hosting. In fact, they host with Google. Okay, so you're getting cloud hosting, not shared hosting. See, if I was to go to SiteGround as an example, let me quickly just show you real quick. If I was to go to SiteGround in here as an example, you would see very interesting options in here like $3 per month, or $5 per month, or $8 per month. However, these are what we refer to as shared hosting. The difference between shared hosting and cloud hosting is that when you're paying for shared hosting, all the resources, bandwidth, memory, everything will be stored on one server, and then your website and other websites will be competing for those resources. So performance and speed isn't going to be optimal. However, with cloud hosting, all that bandwidth, memory, resources will be spread across multiple servers in the cloud. So performance, speed is going to be so much better when you're paying for cloud hosting. Now, in comparison, let's take a look at SiteGround's cloud hosting options. Now you can see that the cheapest plan starts at $100 per month, and then you have 200, 300, and then 400. Let's take a look at Cloudways. Now with Cloudways, when you're hosting with Google Cloud, the cheapest options in here start at about $38 per month. Now, granted, you do have access to faster speeds, more memory than the one for Elementor, but when you start from like the Grow package with Elementor hosting, this is only $23 per month. But at this point already, you're getting plenty of resources like 75 gigabytes of bandwidth. It can handle up to 75,000 monthly visits. Your storage for memory is going to be 25 gigabytes and so much more. Plus, you're also getting the Pro Builder of Elementor for free as well. So overall, hosting with Elementor is actually quite cheap when compared to other third parties out there. Now, in terms of the actual kinds of features that you'll have access to with Elementor hosting, it's not quite as impressive as those that you will get under SiteGround. As an example, with SiteGround, you'll have access to things like your HTTP enforce feature, protected URLs, on the statistics, you can view things like your traffic, monitor error logs, things like that, site scan and so on. With Elementor hosting, you're not going to get those. However, what you will get will be the most important features that you need. For example, being able to create automatic daily backups, on-demand backups, which you'll get for free. You'll be able to clone your site. You can create staging environments for your site as well. You can add custom domains, authenticate them, authenticate your email as well. You'll have access to the Cloudflare content delivery network feature for free also. You can do other things like enable something known as the site lock. What this does is that it'll prevent your site from being accessible by anyone unless they have a code to use. You can turn on features like your debugging and troubleshooting. Also, you can do additional things like reset your website. You can open up your database and connect to the database with my PHP and so on. Plus, in terms of security, they have additional features in here like your DDoS protection, your WAF protection, 24/7 monitoring, and so much more. So the kinds of features that you'll get with Elementor hosting are the most important features that you actually need. In all fairness, these additional options that you get on that SiteGround or Cloudways, they're not very important. They're not the most important features that you need. It is nice to have them, don't get me wrong, but they're not like the deal breakers in my humble opinion. So what you get with Elementor hosting will be the most important features. And then you have some additional options in here like teams. So if you want multiple people to work on your site, you can connect them, add them to your account, and then they will be able to work on your site together with you. And then you have like your FAQ and support. They've got the community, which is a huge, massive Facebook group and so much more. So overall, I would say that Elementor hosting is a very good option if you are in fact building your site with Elementor Pro. However, if you want to keep your options open and you're not entirely convinced by Elementor's page builder plugin and you want to use something else to build your site, then Elementor hosting might not be the best option for you. So with that being said, let me just quickly mention that before we go on to part 2, I'm going to give you the full breakdown of how you can actually work within the back end of Elementor and do certain kinds of things. Let me just mention that I am an affiliate for Elementor hosting. So if you do want to buy hosting with Elementor, in fact, I will have my affiliate link in the box below. What that means is that if you decide to buy Elementor hosting with my link, I will get a small commission, and it's a great way to support me and support what I'm doing here on the channel. So thank you so much for your support. So with that out of the way, let me now show you the technical aspects of Elementor hosting and how you can make use of all the features available for you with Elementor hosting. All right, so let's get started with Elementor hosting. And to purchase hosting with Elementor, you can simply go to the main page, elementor.com. And then under products, you will see WordPress hosting, and then you can see the plans they have available for you. Simply choose any one. In this case, I'm going to go with the Grow plan. And before you can pay, you will have to provide your account with them. So you can provide your email address, provide your password, and then simply create your account. And then when you're done creating your account, you can then pay for the hosting with Elementor. Now, once you've already purchased the hosting, you will get the email confirming that you've purchased with them, and then you will also get your invoice and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead now and simply log in because I already have an account with them. So let me go ahead and do this real quick. And for security purposes, whenever you try to log in for the first time, you may get this message asking you to provide a 6-digit code that's been sent to the email address that you used to sign up for the account. All right, so as you can see right now, I have signed in, and this is basically what you're going to see. Now, I do already have a test site with Elementor, so that's what you can see right here. However, in your case, since this is the first time that you've logged in and you're not hosting any sites with them, this page will be blank. You're not going to see anything on the websites. So there's two ways how you can get started. The easiest would be to come right here and click on create a hosted website. So you can click in there, and now from here it will ask you, all right, which subscription do you want to use? You're basically going to see the subscription that you just paid for. So I'm going to say use this subscription, and now you can give a name to the site. In this case right now, I'm going to call the site Lone Nomad. Click on next, and now you can choose a template kit to start with. Basically, it's like a pre-built template that will appear on your site. However, in my case, I'm simply going to say I'd rather start from scratch. Okay, but feel free to use any one of these template kits if you're interested, but I'm going to go with I'd rather start from scratch. And then it's going to take actually less than 10 seconds for Elementor to build out your site for you. I know it says it can take about 5 minutes, but from my experience, okay, so you can see right now it's actually ready already. So I'm going to click on let's go. You're also going to receive an email from Elementor saying that, hey, you know, your site has been built, welcome, all that good stuff. All right, let's wait for a few more seconds for the back end to load. And if you notice right up here, this is going to be the temporary URL for my site. You can see right now it is qevnmuab.elementor.cloud. Now, if I go back to the backend, now you can see the Lone Nomad site is now registered in my Elementor backend. So from here, I can decide to click on manage this website. Okay, so I'm going to click on manage this website, and you're going to see this message here saying that the site lock is on. Basically, the whole point of the site lock is to lock down your website so that visitors and search engines will not be able to access your site. Now, this is great when you're trying to make major updates and you don't want your site to be accessible by anyone. However, I would recommend that you turn it off for now. So to turn it off, you're going to come all the way right here and you're going to see the site lock. By the way, if you do want to work with site lock, there's going to be a pin code that Elementor will generate for you. This is the pin code right here. Mine in this case is 0544. So if I wanted to access as a visitor, if I wanted to access the site while it's under site lock, I will need to provide this pin code in order to access it. And in fact, let me bring over my other browser where I am not logged in. You see right now, if I try to access the site, it's going to say, sorry, this website is hidden right now. Enter the pin code to view it. So again, I will have to provide this pin code 0544. So let me go ahead and do that as a test, 0544, and then continue. And now because I've provided the pin code, I will be able to access the website, as you can see. So that's how the site lock actually works. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it off and unlock the site. And there you go. All right, let's go all the way back up here. Now, we do have our temporary URL in here. And because we're hosting with Elementor, you're going to get access to Elementor Pro as well. In fact, if I go over here to my back end, let me just quickly show you. You will see that by default, I already have Elementor installed. Let me just come all the way down here to plugins, install plugins. And there you go. So you're going to have the activity log plugin installed, and then Elementor, and then Elementor Pro. So from here, you can begin to build out your site. However, what if you purchased your domain name from another website, from a third party? The unfortunate thing about Elementor is that at this time, they're still not selling domain name, so you'll have to purchase your domain name from a third party. So what if you've purchased a domain name from a third party and you want to link that domain name over to your Elementor hosting? Here's exactly what you're going to do. Right here where it says manage domains, you can now come in here and click on connect my domain because you've already bought yourself a domain name. So I'm going to assume you've bought your domain name from SiteGround or Namecheap or wherever. So I'm going to click on connect my domain, and now in here I am going to provide the website that I have bought with SiteGround, and the URL for that site is the lonenomad.com. That's basically the domain I bought. So make sure these two boxes are checked. Set your website as your primary domain, and also connect to www.yourdomainname. So I'm going to click on let's begin. All right, and now what you're going to find here would be detailed instructions on how you can modify some information on the site where you've purchased the domain name. So I'm going to click on I've signed in, what's next, found it, what's next, and then find your DNS records, and then I'm going to say found them, what's next. Now the thing is, how you would actually find your DNS records will depend largely on the platform where you bought your domain name. So as an example, I'm going to show you how you can find that on SiteGround. So assuming you've bought your domain name with SiteGround, in this case right now, you're going to go over to the site tools for SiteGround. In fact, let me go all the way back to my SiteGround dashboard. So I start from the very, very beginning. So for me right now, this is SiteGround's back end. I'm logged in. I'm going to go over here to websites, and then I'm going to scroll all the way down here, and you can see I do have let me click on load more first. I do have my URL right here, the lonenomad.com. So I'm going to click on site tools to access this domain that I've just bought with SiteGround. All right. And then from here, from the dashboard, I'm going to come all the way down here to domain, click in there. Now go to DNS zone editor. And then from here, I will now select once again the lonenomad.com. And there it is. So the thing is, how you would actually get to this point, again, will depend on the platform where you bought your domain name. And if you're having issues getting the DNS zone editor, I would highly recommend that you contact the support team on the platform where you bought your domain name. So right here, you will have to update two basic things. You'll have to create something known as an A record, and then you'll also have to create a canonical name record as well. So to do this, let me just go ahead right now and first of all, copy this IP address. I'm going to click on copy to clipboard. Let's go over here to my SiteGround site. Now, it is very, very important, okay? Under your A records, make sure there are no other A records. Most likely, if this is the first time that you've bought your domain name and you have not done anything, you're not likely going to find any existing A records on that domain name. But in case you do have them, please go ahead and delete them. So in this case right now, I do have the first one right here, lonenomad.com. I'm going to go ahead now and simply delete that A record. Okay. And then I'm also going to go ahead and delete this one as well. And there you go. And then the final one right here, I'll go ahead and delete that one as well. The other ones in here where you have A record, FTP, SSH, mail, and so on, you can ignore these ones, okay? These ones are not important. The only important ones are the ones that have your actual domain name and then www.yourdomainname as well. So I'm going to go over here right now. And then for the IP4 address, I'm going to paste the IP address that we got, okay? Again, it's right here, the value, and then A record. So that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead now, click on create, And there you go, an A record has now been created. Okay, next will now be the canonical name record. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this value as well, and then go back to SiteGround, and then here under create new record, I'm going to click on CNAME. All right, and then here the value here is basically going to be our www. So I'm going to type in www and then resolves to, and I'm going to paste the link right there, and then click on create, and there it is. Now you will notice that the A value for my site is now pointing to 162.159.137.9, and I do have my canonical name record that's pointing to QEVNMUAB, which is basically the URL of my site on Elementor Hosting. And there it is. Again, if you're having issues trying to find your DNS zone editor, things like that, please do contact the platform where you bought your domain name. So in my case right now, I am done. I'm going to click on I updated my records, connect my domain. Also keep in mind that this can take anywhere between 5 minutes and even up to 3 days. It may take a while. So I'm going to click on back to the dashboard right now. And because I have just tried to connect my site, you will see it under here. You will see custom domains. You will now see the name of your site, and then it will say URL added. And then basically at this point, Elementor is trying to move that site over to your hosting platform with Elementor. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to stop the video and then resume once the site has actually fully propagated over to the Elementor hosting. Alrighty, so my site has just finished propagating, and it took roughly about 15 minutes. So really, it shouldn't take that long, but again, it could take up to 72 hours. However, from my experience, and I've been doing this for years, propagation should not take more than 6 hours at the most. Hopefully, your site has fully propagated as well. The next step will now be to authenticate your email, so that whatever emails that you choose to send from your site will be sent from the domain name and not the one created by Elementor. So basically, in other words, if I was going to send an email from this site right now, it wouldn't say qevnmuab.elementor.cloud, but rather it would say from the lonenomad.com. So to authenticate your email, you want to come right down here where you have email authentication, and then click on the link right here that says it is time to authenticate your email. And then over here, choose your domain name. I'm going to go with the one without www, so the lonenomad.com, and I'll click on let's begin. So just like with you trying to link to your custom domain, it's the exact same thing. I signed in. What's next? Find your domain settings. You're also looking for your DNS records as well. And now in here, you will have to create 3 additional canonical name records. So once again, over here with SiteGround, I will have to make sure that while I'm creating a new record, it is under CNAME. So let me go ahead and create the very first one right here. I'm going to copy this value of the link right here, and then the name here is EM6934. So let me go ahead and type in EM6934, and then I'll paste the link right there and then create. And there you go. So I'm going to pause the video and then simply create the other 2 canonical name records as well. And okay, so as you can see right now, I have added the other 2 canonical name records, the S1 and S2, and there we go. So all I'll do right now at this point is simply click on I updated my records, authenticate my email. Now this will take a lot faster than the propagation, and right there you can see right now it says it worked. Your domain is now authenticated through SendGrid. So again, whenever I send emails from my site right now, it's going to say from the lonenomad.com and not this default qevnmuab.elementor.cloud URL. Now, speaking of which, because we've already fully propagated my site, I can now simply type in the lonenomad.com, and this will take us to our site with Elementor, and there it is. This is our new site right now already built with Elementor. Now to access the site, what you want to do is this. Okay, you can go over here. Let me first of all go over here where you have the OpenWP dashboard. So you can open this one right here, and this will take you straight to the backend for your site. And of course, just like with any normal WordPress website, from here right now, you can go over here to users, click on all users. And then from here, you can now edit your name. And if you want to change the password, you can simply come in right now and then set your new password just as you would for any other type of user. You can also simply click on edit with Elementor, and this will take you straight to the backend for Elementor, and you can begin editing your sites. Next, I want to show you how you would create backups for your site with the Elementor Cloud Hosting, and you will find backups all the way down here. Now, depending on the package that you've decided to purchase, backups are kept either for 2 weeks, 14 days, or 30 days. But automatically, backups are made every 24 hours on your site for free. But you can decide to make an on-demand backup if you want. So right here, you'll see create a new backup. I'm going to click in there. And now over here, you simply provide a name. So I'll just call this one test backup, and then click on backup now. And there it is. Now, obviously, depending on how large your site is, it may take either a few seconds, a few minutes, or maybe even up to an hour to make a full backup of your site. I'm going to pause the video and resume once the backup has been completed. Welcome back, and as you can see right now, the backup has been completed on June 25th. So I can either choose to restore this backup to my site, or I can simply export the backup and use that backup on another site if I wanted to. You also have other additional options in here, like being able to reset the WP login attempt. So if you have some kind of plugin installed on your WordPress website that blocks login access after, say, 3 failed login attempts, you can simply come in here right now and reset all the attempts, and then you will be able to try to log in once again. And then for debugging purposes, you can choose to enable the WordPress and script debug, but please only do this if you're trying to actively debug an issue that's going on your site. All the way up here where you have your 3 buttons, when you click in there, you can either choose to clone your site, or you can even reset the entire website if you want to. But when you click on clone this website, right here, you can provide the website name. I'm going to stick with the default that says clone of my domain name. And then here, I'll simply click on clone website. And again, depending on how large your site is, how much content you have, and so on, this might either take a few seconds, a few minutes, or it could even take up to an hour. My site is virtually empty because it's a brand new site. I haven't really added anything as such. So right now you can see it's cloning, it's making a clone of my site. Now, the obvious benefits of creating a clone is that you can test whatever you want to do on the clone site. You can try out new plugins, new themes, anything you want, and then try to see how it would actually look like on your original site. It's kind of like creating a staging environment as well. It's very, very, very similar. So again, this could take quite a while. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to pause the video and simply resume once the cloning has finished. Welcome back, and as you can see, the clone of my Lone Nomad site has been complete. And from here, I can pretty much do whatever I want to do with the clone site. Now, sticking with the 3 buttons up here, we also have access to our database. So you can open this up and you will have access to phpMyAdmin. You can just click on continue from here. All right, and just wait for a few seconds for the database to connect. And there you go. So from here right now, with phpMyAdmin, you can make changes to your database and do whatever it is that you want to do. And going back, the last option in here would be to show SFTP details. So if you need to connect to your site via SFTP, you click in here. Now, what's actually interesting about Elementor Hosting is that your credentials, your SFTP credentials, are temporary. They only work for 24 hours, which is great for security. So right here, right now, I can get my host name, the username, and then I can copy the password and then simply set it to port number 22. And then I can connect to my database via SFTP. So that's how this works. All right, let's take a look at this staging environment, and this is very easy. Simply click on create staging. All right, and you check the box that says I've read and understood these terms, and then click on create staging. Now this is going to take a while. It takes a lot longer to create a staging environment than cloning your site. A question you might have here is, okay, Alex, what's the difference between cloning my site and then creating a staging environment of my site? The difference here is this. When you clone your site, you're basically making a carbon copy of what's on your site already. This is useful if you want to create a second website, and that website is very similar in terms of like design and functionality to the site that you already have. So rather than starting from scratch, you can simply clone your site, and then you can make whatever changes that you want to make to the new site. That's where cloning is great as. However, for staging environment, it's perfect when you want to test out plugins and themes and new kinds of updates. You could do those with your clone site as well. However, the difference is that when you do those tests on your staging website, if you're happy with the changes and the tests, you can push those tests directly to your live site. I'm going to show you how that is done, but I'm going to pause the video right now and resume once my staging environment has been created. Welcome back, and as you can see right now, the staging URL has been created for my site. So I can click on the link right now, and this is going to open up the site. So again, just like with any other site that you create with Elementor Hosting, you're going to have the site lock enabled. So let me quickly go ahead right now and unlock the site. So to do this, I'm going to go over here to manage staging. You click in there. All right, and then right down here, I'm going to turn off the site lock and unlock it. All right, now I'm going to go back in here. Let's refresh the page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the back end. All right, and then I'll also install a plugin, and then we'll push that change onto our live site. All right, so as you can see right now, I have logged into the back end, and let's come over here to plugins. I'm going to add a new plugin, and we're going to add a plugin for Elementor. And in fact, you know what? Let's just go ahead and install any plugin. So I'll just install the classic editor as an example. Now, one thing I've also noticed is that whenever you're working in the staging environment, things might be a little bit slower than normal. So just keep that in mind, okay? All right, so I've installed the classic editor plugin, and let's just assume that, you know what, I'm very happy with the fact that I've installed this plugin. It's nice, nothing is broken. Let me go ahead right now and push this update to my live site. So what I'm going to do here is this. Over here, you will have your staging actions. And the first option in here is to push changes to the live website. You can, of course, also pull a new staging environment. This happens when maybe you've made a change to your live site and you want that change to be reflected in your outdated staging environment. That's when you would use the pull a new staging environment. But in this case right now, I'm going to click on push to live. All right. And then it's going to say, hey, keep in mind that besides the design, this will also overwrite all files and databases, things like that. So you can check the box that yes, you've read on and understood the terms. Now I'm going to go ahead and push those changes to my live site. And let's see, it might take a few seconds or could be longer. Actually, you know what? As usual, let me just go ahead and pause the video and resume once those changes have been pushed live. Welcome back. And as you can see right now, the change has been pushed live. So let's go ahead and test this out. I'm actually going to go over to my main website. So let's go back to websites in here. And I'm going to go over here to Lone Nomad. And let's open up the WordPress dashboard. And we're going to check out the plugins list. So let's come down here to plugins, click on install plugins. And there you go. Now you can see that the classic editor has automatically been installed on our site because we pushed the change from our staging environment over to our live site. That's how the staging environments work. So going back, there's just a few more things to mention. Regarding the staging environment, you can also choose to delete the current staging environment if you want to. And that is that. All right, final things. Like I mentioned earlier in the intro, when you go to Teams in here, you can add other members to your account if you want them to have access to your site. You can go to the FAQ and support link. You have the community link in here as well. And then down here, you can join or have a conversation with Elementor support. Simply click on new conversation right here and then type in your message, things like that, and you will be connected. And that's pretty much how to navigate the back end of Elementor hosting. Well, there you have it. We've come to the end of today's video where I've shown you how you can host your site with Elementor and also how you can make use of all the features available for you when you host with Elementor. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider giving it a thumbs up and share the video with anyone whom you feel might benefit from it. If you have any questions or comments, put that down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. And just as a gentle reminder, if you do want to buy Elementor hosting, please do so with my link in the box below. It's a good way to support me and support what I'm doing here on the channel. So thank you so much for your support. Thanks so much for watching the video. Stay safe out there and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.